The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
All right, it's Friday. It is the 14th of January, 2022. Welcome to the Daily Hour, brought to you by Medical House, Lenders, and One Communications. I'm just wondering, Sherry's all dancing in her head today, folks. Don't worry about that, though. She's Sherry Vanderpool. I'm Jamal Hartman. Leanna Lambert will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in her news break, brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Sherry, based on your dancing, it seems like you're having a good Friday. How are you doing today?
Having a wonderful Friday. It's a long weekend for us. And so, it's just like, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, folks,
I want
it
a
is a
yes
long
in the
weekend.
comments.
Yeah,
Yes.
she wants a yes because we're not going to be here with you on Monday. On Monday, we're going to be observing Dr. Martin Luther King Day, but also just a heads up on programming. We'll be doing a show on Tuesday and Friday only next week as we celebrate my mother's life next week. So we'll be off. We'll only be doing 2 live shows next week. All right. So Tuesday, we'll have Mr. Photogenic. You all called me out yesterday about Mr. Photogenic. So we're going to have Mr. Photogenic on the show. And then on Friday, we'll have Teacher of the Year in Bermuda, Mr. Dean Fogos. So that's what we've got coming up next week. Yeah. So
somebody's gonna be mad at you. Somebody's gonna hit you up and like, Jamal, how come it's this shit?
Yeah, but I'm sorry. Got to celebrate my mama, folks. Got to celebrate mama.
Yes.
But, hey, don't forget, everyone, that we are doing the giveaway. All right. So we're not going back to give you letters of past episodes that were given. You have to listen to every episode to see what letters are given. We're going to give you 2 today. All right. And the first letter you're going to get is right now. Apostrophe S. All right. I've given you an apostrophe S. All right. So I'll give you one clue. That's the first word to the phrase. All right. We have a long way to go. A lot of people have been sending like messages, Sherry, thinking they've guessed it already. No, it's none of them.
It's my sister's breakdown in a WhatsApp message that for me. And I was just like, you good, girl. just like got the day, the ladder, and everything. I was just like, I died laughing.
I love scholars like that. Good morning, everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. Another good one today as we round out the week. We have, I'm going to call him Bermuda's next big champ. Adrian Roach is in the house. Folks, if you haven't already, you've got to follow him on Instagram. His video, I'm not a boxer, right? I think I could fight. I could hold my own, but I'm not a boxer. But it inspired me, honestly. Sherry, you saw the video. It's
yes,
a really
it was.
Inspiring and motivating video. And once I saw it, I reached out. I said, hey, brother, we've got to get you on. Like, our audience would love to engage with this young man. So Adrian Roach is in the background. We're going to be having a good conversation with Adrian. The Daily Play, well, folks, we haven't done this since November, but for some reason, you all like to see me on this side of the fence. So Sherry will be trying to, I guess, make me guess and get it wrong. I mean, I don't do that to her. I set her up for the win every time I do it. But, Sheriff says about
I am setting you up for the win. It's going to be sports related.
Oh, sports related. Okay. All right. It's sports related. I should have it, folks. I should have it. You know me. I'm like, just call me Jamal Stephen A. Smith Hartman. I'm got it. You know who I am.
I don't know about him.
Oh, well, as far as knowledge, he's pretty good with his knowledge. He's okay. Just give him the knowledge. But
Okay.
folks, we have a lot to talk about before we bring Adrian into the show. A lot has been going on. And when I say a lot has been going on, there was a press conference yesterday. I don't want to put too much attention on that. I want to get away from that a bit. We've had a lot of conversations about COVID with people about COVID. We had Dr. Karika Weldon on Monday. We had Eugene Dean on Wednesday. What I will say is, you all know I'm no fan of the government. But if you know there's one politician I'm no fan of, it would be the Minister of Health. You know this. So I'm not here to defend the Minister of Health or any politician or government. But what I will say is we got to keep things in context. From what I heard her say, and I watched the press conference last night, not because I want to, but because we do this show and I can't go off of what I see on social media. I have to actually, when the information's there coming straight from the source unedited, then you must listen and then discuss it. That's not what we're talking about today, but what I will say is I think the reporter done a very good job of agitating her, and she did a very poor job of how she responded to the reporter, right? Maybe this is why David Burt, the Premier of Bermuda, was scared to go to the Royal Gazette, because he can't handle the heat in the kitchen. But that said, the minister was not wrong in what she said, and I'm going to communicate this with Dr. Karika Weldon as well. This is why she's not wrong. We should look at people like Dr. Karika Weldon as leaders. And when leaders leave a place, when they resign, when they move on, they should have done a great enough job that everyone they left behind, or at least someone, should be able to step in their place and carry on. That's what leadership is. Leadership is the ability to ensure that when you're gone, the train keeps going. So I see nothing wrong with what the Minister of Health said in terms of, Dr. Karika Weldon, okay, she's gone, but we have people that can step in and step up. That's what I took from it. That's what leadership is. If I leave this show, my two proudest moments, I say all the time, when we've done 404 episodes as of today. I've done 402 of them. Those 2 episodes I did not participate in were my proudest moments on this show, because it showed that we have built something that will go on without me. That's what makes me proud. So I don't want us to focus on or run with things that truthfully could have been communicated better. But I took from what she meant that if, as a leader, when you leave something, you should not be missed unless the organization is just that poorly run. But no organization should be so dependent on an individual. That's the bottom line. So let's get to today's conversation and question. So Jackie and Terry spoke about this a bit on Good Day Bermuda today about hustle culture. And, I'm really not a fan of it, right? For years and years, I remember working at Elbow Beach one summer, and a guy was there talking about, this is, my second full-time job, and, guys' eyes are blood red, right? Trying to, pay for a house. I'm like, we shouldn't be killing ourselves trying to pay for a mortgage. We just shouldn't. That shows us that something else is wrong in our society when someone is killing themselves to pay for a mortgage, right? That tells you something is wrong. So the question of the day, and I'll get into why we're doing it. Do you think a shorter work week would improve the overall well-being of our community? Now, if you are active on LinkedIn, on our parent company website, the Bermuda Communications Limited on LinkedIn, we actually had a poll up, and the question was, what would you be more in favor of? A 6-hour workday, right, which is 30 hours per week, or a 4-day work week, which would be 32 hours per week, right? What would you be more in favor of? And out of 50 votes so far, this was put up a day or two ago, 88% say a 4-day work week, with only 12% saying a 6-hour work day, which is actually less time. But I actually would favor a 4-hour work day, because when you consider the time that you're going to and from work, that actually adds up to more time. But what are your thoughts, audience? What are your thoughts? Do you think a shorter work week would improve the overall well-being of our community. And what I mean by that, let me just go in depth and I'll just give you a reference point, is it'll give parents more time to be with their children and families more time to be together. It will give people more time to relax and recover and rejuvenate, right? At least that's the hope. But most of
Mm-hmm.
all, there's an article, Sherry. There's an article. And the
Yeah.
article's titled, we can share it on our social media, maybe Facebook page. A company adopted a 4-day work week to avoid burnout, promote employee wellness, and foster creativity. Pandemic pressures inspired company leaders to design a work week that provides the flexibility to balance work, family, and community responsibilities while accommodating aspirations beyond work. That's
Mm.
the reason a company has done it. Now, question: do you think if companies move towards this, it will improve the overall well-being of the community?
I loved this article, Jamal. It spoke to me, and I think it speaks to what is going on today. It definitely comes from a remote working situation, which is good as well. And
Mhm,
what I liked about it is that it looked at you're at home and you're working, and your home is supposed to be a place of solitude, a place
mhm,
of calmness and so forth. And if you can use one of those days to be able to do it and to shift, I
mhm,
think a shorter week would improve us overall, period. But I'm gonna have to be a little bit of devil's advocate. Bermudian culture. You understand what I mean?
mhm,
Hopefully, that someone's like, oh, let's not just have a party on the Friday or on the Thursday or things of that nature. The thought of a 4-day work week, I feel like, promotes you to want to get your stuff done, in a timely manner.
mhm,
It helps with that. And like you said, it helps with family,
mhm,
children, and being able to have a work-life balance. There
mhm,
was another article, I'm not sure if you sent it to me or I saw, where a company was allowing people to come to work about from 9 to 4.
mhm.
Did you send that to me? But nevertheless, the whole
Still too
point
long.
of that well, the whole point of that was to be able to have time in the beginning of the day to either do appointments, to go
Mhm,
exercise, not to race to work. And I think it was
mhm,
9:30, but
mhm,
not to race to work, to have those hours before to be able to drop your kids to school, to do all of those things without
mhm,
saying, I'm gonna be at work for 8 o'clock or I'm
mhm.
gonna be whatever. And even to end it early so that you have time to go happy hour, to go pick up your kids, to do, I think it was 9:30 to 3:30 or something.
Mhm.
But
Well,
yeah, I do.
I it's interesting because you mentioned a lot of stuff just now, and a lot of stuff that
Sorry.
the late no, but it's good. It's, the late Laverne Ferbert would say, because I remember her saying about we used to say decriminalize cannabis because it was criminalizing too many young black men, and she would say, so what? We're just going to decriminalize everything that young black men law that they're breaking. So like you're saying, push the time to 9:30 so people won't have to rush. Then what's going to stop them from rushing for 9:30 because they now changed their life? That's what she would say.
Hmm.
But Chikarena, I want to go to the comments. She's saying a shorter work week would only be beneficial if we use the 3 days off work in a beneficial way. And I think that was to Shara's point of, are we going to use that for an extra day of partying and so on, right? It has to be done in a way that we are. I mean, mind you, I just feel, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't care if it's people that want to spend more time with their family, they want to travel more, or if they just want to sit on the couch and do nothing. I think that
Yeah.
time should be theirs to decide what they want to do without having feeling pressure. Does it ever cross any of our minds? Seriously, does it ever cross any of our minds? Who created the 8-hour workday? Who decided that we should spend 8 hours of us being awake
Hmm.
making someone money, literally, in the interest of providing for ourselves? We have to answer these kinds of questions. James Burt Sherry.
Morning. I think a shorter week would probably spread wealth a bit more, as more people may need to be hired.
Mm,
Yeah.
Shigarena
Yeah.
also, to her point earlier, said, but they sure do squeeze 5 days of work into 4-day weeks. Again, I mean, productivity. Even is the work too much? Like, are we asking too much of regular people? Michelle Whiteshare.
From a performance standpoint, a shorter day may create a more focused approach to work for a period until we get used to it. Mm.
Sam Cat Place says anything that helps with health and wellness, yes, would be beneficial. The question remains is how much stress will be piled on to meet deadlines? People leave because of poor management, not the job. Well, I think we live in a profit-driven society, capitalism, right?
Mhm.
And so at the end of the day, businesses are going to still want to see their bottom line. They're not going to want to see anything drop. That could mean bringing more people on board. The idea, folks, the idea is not to have a shorter work week and stress people more with the work that needs to be
Right.
done. The whole idea is health and wellness. So, I'm wondering, like, does it have to be passed legislatively, or do companies like this private company just say, this is how we're going to get the best this is how we're going to get the best of the best, and this is how we're going to get the best out of the best that we have. It's like really competitiveness. Traveling Trotty says, how about going back to half days on Thursdays like the old days? Well,
I was going to say that.
I weren't born back then. What that mean?
Well, back in the days, and Traveling Trotty, correct me if I'm wrong, and that's why most people got married on Thursdays, because businesses used to close half a day on Thursdays.
I thought my daddy got married on a Thursday because he didn't want nobody be there.
No, well, probably no, but back then, Thursdays was mostly time days that people got married. Now that it's a full day work week, he probably did it then.
Well, I didn't know that. See, folks, I'm learning something. And I weren't born all the way back in the 70s and 60s like these, like, so I got to update me on some of the history. They have to bring me up to par. But no,
bring you up.
Yeah, for sure. Nikki Michelle says it promotes well-being. Absolutely, people do things in the time you give them. I trust humans. If you tell them they have 4 days, they do it in 4 days. The 5-day work week is arbitrary anyway by Henry Ford. So this is answer to the question. It was like Henry Ford, for those who don't know, Ford Motors. That's the company there in Detroit, Michigan, I believe, in the state of Michigan.
Yes.
But it makes sense. It makes sense, Nikki, because for him, he probably developed this plan. Look, I want to get this amount of cars out. I need to get it. He probably had a formula, or probably didn't, right? And said, I need 5 days, 8 hours. And from there, it became the norm. My point is, how do we get away from this norm that has not been in the best interest of people? No, let's take it a step further. Let's take it a step further. Now there are companies, Sherry, like maybe not companies, but organizations as well. Hospitals, right? Essential. There are police, right? And there are companies that maybe they need to be open to service people like us at certain times. Now, how does that work? Now, do they hire more people? Now, because now that's another thing. More jobs become available. But then the companies, their standpoint is, well, we have to hire more people. That means we're draining our revenue.
Well, this is the thing, I think, of course, private companies could do whatever the heck they want. That's not within the conversation. However, government should look at it and look to see how there's other people in the world that do this. There are other countries that do this.
Correct.
And are successful in doing it. But, it's for those countries that have groomed their culture for certain things, and this is where they're at. I don't feel like our culture has been groomed our culture is groomed to party, to drink, to do, you see what I'm saying, and to hustle. That's why my mother had 2 jobs. Your mother had 2 jobs. Like, you know what I mean? That's what I knew, and that's what I've done.
Yeah.
Myself had 2 jobs. Sharon's always got a job.
Yeah. I think everyone I grew up around had multiple jobs. I mean, I don't think the only time in my life I probably worked without having 2 jobs was when I was in Bermuda tourism. I kind of traveled so much, but for the most part, I've always had it. And I only recently realized that's not something that we should be celebrating and putting on the next generation. Because at the end of the day, as I said on Good Day Bermuda today, this mentality, and folks, this may offend some, but it's a slave-like mentality. The idea that we should work hard and kill ourselves to work. It's a slave-like mentality. And I'm going to tell you why. The reason for is we've been taught and told that we need to work that much harder to exceed our goals. We've been told that we need to work harder than the other person. Meanwhile, the people we're working for, the people who are benefiting from our labor, they're on their billion-dollar yachts, champagne in hand. Maybe they did work hard for a bit to start get going.
Yeah.
But it ain't like us who's doing it longer term.
And that's why we're talking about the generational cycle of this kind of things. Whereas in different countries, their cycle is not the same. They're not looking to make sure that they have all of this money. They are learning to live within their means.
Indeed. Let's go to the comments. Michelle, wait for you.
When there are conversations about shorter work weeks, there's no conversation about how pay will be impacted.
But that's the whole point, and I mentioned it earlier. It shouldn't impact anyone's pay. It shouldn't. That's the whole point. The question is, let me just go back to the question. Do you think a shorter work week would improve the overall well-being of our community? It has nothing should change. We're talking about people's well-being. We're talking about, this is about the human element, not about again, as I mentioned, the company may say, well, this is impacting my revenue. And they say, well, I have to bring more people on. Do I lower their pay? That's on the conscience of the company. This is why if some companies, which some have done, start setting up precedents, guess what they're going to do? They're going to attract the best of the best, right? And they hold on to the best of the best by giving them the best of the best. And the reward is that the company now gets the best of the best. When you reward people accordingly, they're more likely to go above and beyond. So if you give me a 4-day work week, I'm probably going to say, you know what? Let me get all this stuff done. To like it's going to be probably more rewarding. That's the point.
Yeah.
But Rosalind Famous says the first people who fought for labor rights, 8 hours for 8-hour work days for 8 hours rest for what we will the 40-hour work week actually was a push for shorter hours at the time, and we keep going. And we keep going and going and going until it is emotionally, mentally, and physically in our best interest. In our best interest. Kathy Brumby, a fan of Thursday afternoons. Sean Smith says, will people use that time for their family, take up second jobs because the demand for business needing to hire people to fill in the gap? The majority will rule once the collective understand the power that they have. That's my answer to that. That's my answer. Very simple.
Yeah.
Look, folks, Rick Olson says working 2 jobs to survive is not cool, but working 2 jobs to buy a house or business is rewarding if achieved. I disagree highly, and that's the point that we're making. That's the point that we're making. No one should have to do that. As I mentioned, generational wealth. Sherry said, we shouldn't have to do that. That's the whole point. The economy, the society, the community is not set up for us to be rewarded based on what we're putting out. That's why I said that what you just explained here, Rick Olson, is a slave-like mentality. My grandfather worked harder than most people in Bermuda that I know. He didn't die with wealth of people on Front Street. I'll leave it there because we've got a great guest in the background. Nikki Michelle says, pay stays the same whether you work 1 day or 5. I get my job done 1 day late, take my other. And let me just highlight this point. I say it very often. The mentality has got to change. Work is not about the amount of time you put in. It's about productivity. If I can get you to do one thing, stop thinking in terms of hours and think of productivity, then my job here is done. My job here is done. Christia.
Shorter work week equals great, more efficient with your time. Stop scheduling stupid, pointless meetings. Each person gets a workload that is sustainable and effective.
All right, let's go to the bring Leanna in. We are a bit behind time. We've got Adrian Roach backstage. A really good young man. Conversation expected, folks. So you want to get behind him, support him. Let's bring Lee. Lee. Good morning, Lee. How are you?
Good morning. I am great. I am absolutely loving this conversation right now. And I don't know if it's because it's coming from the next generation of those who would love a shorter work week. That would work in my favor. No pun intended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
I was gonna say, and let's not forget another entity that helps to drive this whole, hustle mentality, and it's another conversation. Banks.
Yeah. Well,
It's
I mean,
yeah.
when you're paying exuberant amounts of money on top of a mortgage, well, it's going to happen like that. But it's an interesting conversation. It's a long conversation, and we'll probably continue it another time. But we've got to get to the news break with Leanna. Lee, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, over to you. No pigs, no raccoons today.
Not today. Thanks, Jamel and Sherry. TGIF, everyone. We have made it to the end of yet another week, and I hope you all are having a great start to your day and are ready for the upcoming weekend. I'm Liana Lambert, and it's time for the Daily Hour News Break, brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Well, it's all COVID news this morning, so please bear with us. Most have asked for it, and it seems as if their requests have been met as government announces that quarantine periods are to be cut from next week. Now, health officials announced the changes last evening, saying that quarantine requirements would help people to get back to work after essential services were hit by staff shortages because of a surge in cases of the Omicron variant, as well as an effort to live with COVID. Now, for those who missed it, here's a little recap of the changes we'll see come into effect. The quarantine period for people who test positive for the coronavirus has been cut from 14 days to 10 beginning January 20th. The need for a negative PCR test at the end of the 14-day quarantine will be swapped for a verified clear antigen test at the end of the 10-day isolation period. The isolation for vaccinated people is to drop from 10 days to 7 days and will be ended by a negative antigen test, and vaccinated people who have a booster jab and who have been in close contact with a positive case will no longer have to quarantine, but must get a clear antigen test on day 7. Meanwhile, the requirement for people to prove that they have had a booster shot to get a safe key has been pushed back by a month from January 15th to a February 15th start date. In other news, a new record for COVID-19 numbers was revealed last night as cases shot up to nearly 1,900. A total of 661 new infections were recorded from 8,103 tests carried over 4 days from last Friday. Now, the island's positivity rate currently stands at 8.15%. There are 10 people in hospital with 1 in intensive care. Meanwhile, more than 14,000 additional doses of the COVID vaccine arrived last night on a British Airways flight, making it the 11th shipment of vaccines since last year. And the policy requiring students to have a negative PCR test result after a school midterm break will be changed to a certified negative antigen test result, and the ministry will be rolling out at-home antigen testing for all public schools, with the weekly school saliva screening testing program placed on pause. Now, the announcement came in yesterday from Acting Education Minister Tanae Ferbert during a press conference, who said that the change will be phased out from next week. The decision was made after consultation with the Department of Health, school staff, and parents. Now, Ms. Ferbert said that antigen tests will be supplied to parents free of charge due to a generous donation. Taking a look at today's weather, we have a high near 70 and a low near 62 degrees. A complex low pressure system continues to develop to our general west. Now, many of you would have heard the torrential downpour we experienced last night. Well, local wind will strengthen and wet weather will continue this morning before easing and becoming drier this afternoon. The main low center rapidly deepens to our northwest today, introducing a period of gale force winds and bringing occasional wet weather into the start of the weekend. Now, conditions will settle briefly during Sunday as high pressure passes to the north. That's all for our daily hour news break brought to you by People's Pharmacy. But before we go, here's a little helpful tip from your favorite community pharmacist. To identify a stroke in a loved one, remember this acronym, FAST. F is for facial drooping, A is for arm weakness, S is for speech difficulty, and T is for time. Remembering this could be the difference between life and death. Now let's head back to Jamel and Sherry in the studio for today's Daily Focus.
All right. Thanks so much for that, Lee. Have yourself a very nice weekend.
Thank you. Before I go, I just
Lee.
want to send a huge happy Earth Day to my mom, Carmelita Lambert, who is celebrating her birthday today. So happy birthday, Mommy.
All right, Mama Lambert.
Mama Lambert.
I'm coming over for a piece of cake.
Coming over for a piece of cake this weekend, Mal.
Before you go, Lee, I know what day is it other than Carmen's birthday? What day is it, Sherry? I know you got something for us.
Today is Organize Your Home Day, and it falls on January 14th every year. And just take some time to take stock of the clutter that has been accumulating in your house. Donate what you can. Because you need to, I feel like you need to know this. Donate what you can, responsibility, organize yourself and get yourself together, a plan for the new year. So just
this is so fitting for my mom's birthday.
Organized.
So fitting for my mom. Because she is like OCD, right? To the next level. So I feel like that is so fitting for her birthday for that to be the calendar day. Like
you know what? Go help her out with that OCD today. Lee has a gift. And happy birthday to her.
Thank you guys. Have a good weekend.
You too, Lee. Talk soon. All right. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with our guest for today, Adrian Roach. Coming right up.
Are you a small business or organization looking for new ways to reach a greater audience? Well, here's your chance to get your ad on BTG Radio, Good Day Bermuda, and Bermuda's daily talk show, The Daily Hour. Send an email to contact@bermudacommunications.com.
We're featuring a true frequent flyer this month, Bragg Live Food Products. Paul Bragg was the man behind the products, and during his lifetime originated health food stores and promoted nutrition education throughout the media, helping us make healthful choices when we shop for and prepare food. Best known for his live cider vinegar, Bragg also brings us a variety of super nutritious and flavorful foods and condiments. Try the star product that helped launch the entire enterprise, Bragg Raw Unfiltered Apple Cider Vinegar. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
Mom's celebrating her 70th birthday next month. Have you noticed her age is catching up with her?
Yeah. Plus, she's having a hard time getting up and around like she's used to. I would sure hate to see her fall.
At Medical House Limited, we can help make life situations easier. We have electric beds, motorized scooters, bath stools, walkers, you name it.
Mom's been real good to us. We'll get her birthday and Christmas gifts from Medical House.
Medical House has relocated next to the Dandytown Field, number 6 Bakery Lane, Pembroke. Telephone 292-3622.
All right, welcome back to the big show. She's Sherry Vanderpool. I'm Jamel Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by Medical House, One Communications, People's Pharmacy, and Lindo's. Without further ado, let's bring our guest for the day. We've got Adrian Roach joining us, Bermudian upcoming boxer. Welcome to the show, sir. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good.
Good morning.
First off, it's early, so no swinging at Sherry. No swinging at Sherry. She thinks she could fight, so she might try to come at you with some words. So no swinging. Keep it calm. But I hear you guys have the best discipline anyway. You're very disciplined, and so on. But Adrian, thank you for doing this. Like I said, I was actually sent your video by one of our listeners. And because we have people that listen to the show on the website, they don't get to see it. And they sent it. And I immediately sent you a message right when I watched it. I said, hey, we'd love to have you on the Daily Hour. And when I say, folks, you have to see the video. It's moving, and even at this point in my life, it made me feel like, hey, just because this didn't work out for you, and we'll get into details what we're talking about, that doesn't mean the opportunity is totally lost. So before we get into that, looks like we're having a little bit of internet trouble. And we'll bring him back on once he's there. Looks like we're having a bit of internet trouble, folks.
Man.
Don't worry. Once he's set back up, we'll bring him back in. Don't worry about that. He will be back. But what we're talking about, folks, is there was a video released that gave you context that some of the Bermudian boxers were looking forward to the Olympics in Tokyo, and then a pandemic happened, and they lost out on the opportunity. But Adrian is working very hard towards going to Paris, and so that video really broke down, the work that he's doing, and that's what we're going to talk to him about today. And Bermuda got its first gold medalist in the Olympics last summer as well. He can be the next. He can be the next.
They one of my favorite movies, not to draw comparisons, is Creed. I like Creed.
You were gonna say Creed. Yeah.
I like Michael B. Jordan too.
I was gonna say, is it because of Mike? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But nevertheless, his whole journey from where he was to where he had to go, and the trials and tribulations, it's definitely a nice take on Rocky. It's a nice, up-to-date version. But him being a young Black man and having to go through the things that he did, the training that you did, sometimes the underground training that you need to do. People think that, you have to have all of this equipment and all of this type of stuff. And that's not necessarily true. Sometimes you just have to do what you can do with what you have, which is sometimes even better. But I just love his story. I can watch Creed all the time.
I remember traveling somewhere, and the person next to me, wife, crying the entire trip down. What are you watching? Creed. Yeah. Let's bring Adrian back in. Adrian, hey, you good now? You hear us?
Yeah. I'm sorry about that.
No problem. Technology does that so sometimes. But let's get right into the conversation. Let's speak about in Bermuda, many children grow up in Bermuda having aspirations to be footballers and whatnot. How did you gravitate towards boxing?
Well, so boxing for me started as it's an interesting origin story. I used to get in a lot of trouble when I was a youth. Got into a lot of fights, and I actually ended up being suspended for fighting. And my father, he's a teacher at Work Academy, and he runs the elective for boxing. So on the day that I was suspended, he actually told me that he'll come down to the gym, learn discipline, things like that. So I ended up coming down, and me and my coach Leo Richardson, we just clicked from that day on, and it's been an amazing journey ever since, and he kind of turned my life around. So I really owe a lot to Leo. I consider him like a second father to me, and he changed my life for the better. And without him, I'm not sure what direction I would have been going down, but I can guarantee that it probably wouldn't have been good.
This is good to hear. Really, really great to hear, because you think of mentors and someone who's taken someone who's expressing themselves violently and using what people deem a violent sport, but as I mentioned earlier, it's actually a disciplined sport. Like it takes a lot of discipline. When I think of boxing, some people think it's just going out there swinging. No, you're going to get tired like that. There has to be a discipline. Again, watching your videos just showed me how much discipline is needed. So speak to us about how your family feels about you choosing boxing, because in the calls during the short video, we hear you talking to your mom, right? And I'm like, he sounds happy but concerned. But how does your family feel about you choosing boxing?
Well, my pops, his cool. My daddy likes it. I think he does likes to see me get hit once in a while, Well, my mom, she was real nervous of it at first. At first, she was like, didn't really want to do it. But my mom, she supports me in everything I do, so I gotta appreciate her for that. And she's learned to be comfortable with it. She still tries to not look at when I'm fighting. Like if she's at a fight, she'll just take her glasses off and hold the phone up to record, so she can't see much. But yeah, she supports me in everything I do. My papa, he supports, and the rest of the family kind of, they
Yeah.
get behind me.
Yeah, it was real cool, folks. We're gonna share it if he gives us permission. We're gonna share it on our
Yeah, of
social
course.
media channels. But honestly, it's touching. It's a really touching motivational video, and I'm looking forward to more of that as your journey to 2024 when you become Bermuda's next gold medalist. So on that note, prior to last summer, Bermuda's only Olympic medal was won in boxing by Clarence Hill.
Right.
How have his accomplishments inspired you to push on?
Well, Clarence, even just talking to him personally, he's a real big inspiration to me because the things that he went through at the time that he won the medal for Bermuda, it was a lot of segregation, and even through that he was able to push through and come out with a medal. Here's another another thing that makes him a real model to me is that he did it, and for what was it? It was 46 years, 47 years. He was the only one to do it until Flora Duffy came and she won the gold medal. So just for all those years to be the only medalist for Bermuda at the time, it was amazing to me, and it's just like this guy is like really a legend. And then it upset me that he didn't get the recognition that he deserved at first. But in the recent years after Flora won her medal, and I saw them bring Clarence Hill out as well, that really warmed my heart because it's like he deserves it.
Yeah, indeed.
Awesome.
And I'm happy about that recognition as well. Long overdue. Unfortunately, you were unable to go to the Tokyo Games due to the pandemic, but you're focused on Paris. What does your preparation look like to get to Paris?
It's brutal. It's brutal, but it's all part of the process, and I love it. You can't join the sport if you don't love the sport. And loving the sport comes with its bad days and its good days. You just gotta take the ups and downs as well as each other, right? So, you wake up every morning like 5 o'clock, 5:30. Go do your cardio work or you go to the fitness room. Right now, I'm out in Canada training. I'm a university. I have a scholarship to be on the varsity boxing team. So wake up, go straight to training in the mornings. You got classes throughout the day. If you have a little extra break, get a third workout in where you work in midday, and then towards the end of the day, the nighttime, that's when team training happens. So we got sparring. Back in home when I was at home this Christmas break, I was sparring with a few of the pros like Nicky Bascom, Andre Lamb, Mikey Parsons. They were giving me some real good work. So it's an honor, to be at this young age and being recognized. Brought in for camps is a privilege and an honor. I'm just glad that I could help.
Sherry, before you jump in, I just want to say what he's explaining, folks, if nothing else, what he's explaining, he mentioned Leo, he mentioned Nikki and Michael Parsons and Andre Lamb just now. What he mentioned is the people around him, the mentorship around him. He mentioned Clarence Hill. He's mentioning people who have literally put their arms around him and said, look, bro, we're going to help you do this. That's what we need. That's a sense of community. If we had that in our community everywhere, trust me, Bermuda would be a better place. Go ahead, Sherry. Sorry.
And I want to just add to that, in addition to you even mentioned that you got a scholarship for boxing. Like, I have never heard of that. So for me, that's still pretty cool.
We lost him a bit, Sherry. I think we lost him. We'll bring him back once he comes. But yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, but just watching the video and the training process, Jamal, in my mind, I'm like, I could do that. I could do this. Like, it gives you the inspiration to do so. I've done a little bit of kickboxing. I did a little actually box workout with Sumner. And he is hilarious too, but he's very serious about that. And when he mentioned Leo, all I keep hearing is Leo's raspy voice talking to him, right? Come on, get in there. At first, I was like, does he really talk like that? But he does. But you could see, even for Leo, I've been down in that gym, and to see the amount of young men that come down there for his mentorship, for his, the discipline, the help, and all of those kind of things is very impressive to see. Even Sumner.
Let's just bring Andre back in. Go ahead to your question.
Oh, and I was saying,
Okay,
just, it's amazing about your boxing scholarship, and in saying that you're doing well, in university, winning your first fight in October last year. Tell us what you needed to pull out that win.
That win, it was that was probably my hardest fight that semester, and that took a lot to me. And so I actually remember the process of getting into that fight. It was about a 5-hour drive just to the venue. We drove there, and then the guy, you size them up at the weigh-ins, you see how big they are, and just like kind of try to get your game plan. This guy, he had a really like built frame, so I was like, all right, cool, like because my type style of fighting, I'll stay there and I'll sit there and I'll trade punches if he whatever. And he looked solid, so I was like, all right, this is gonna be a fight. First round, we came up, and I established my jab first. You got to think smart. So I was doing that, and then he just kept coming forward. So I was like, well, we're both coming forward then. So we started trading, hooking. And by the second round, we had thrown like probably in the hundreds of punches. And we would just trade. So by the third round, because amateur fights is only 3 rounds long, by the third round, when I got back to my corner at the end of the second, I felt my legs were burning. And my coach, she looked at me. I can't even quite remember what he was telling me. I remember telling myself, you got one more round of this. Just dig down and do what you train to do. You're fit. You do this every day. The notes. So, like, let's get it done. So I went in there.
And you
got the job done. Yeah.
Well, tell us, Adrian, what is your overall goal with boxing, and how far do you want to go with this, and what's your plan to get there?
So this will be probably the first time speaking on it publicly. I've always said it privately, to my friends, my inner circle, my family. But like with boxing, I want to go all the way. But for me, it's never really been about like Floyd Mayweather type style where it's like fancy cars, fancy houses. I'd rather put like and invest money into the community. I'd want to with my money that I'll make off of pros and whatnot. I'd want to build like a community center in Bermuda because a lot of the youth, like me, when I was younger before boxing, I got caught up just simply because I didn't have anything else to do. So with the community center, not only would it offer a gym, but I would look to offer different workshops such as mechanics.
I think we lost him.
No.
To learn a trade and things like that. And I feel like that would be beneficial to the island because it would offer a bunch of young, talented Bermudians and put them into the workforce instead of having to do stuff on the street or, doing resulting in going on the bad path. So, I just want to do that for the community because for me, it's never been about fancy cars. People know who I am. So, if I could just inspire a few kids along the way and impact the community, then I'll do that.
What would you say to those who are interested, especially young men, in boxing, and how can they enter into that?
The first step is signing up and showing up, and in boxing, you're going to have a lot of bad days, but bad sparring days, you're going to get hit in the face. That's never fun. So, but it's all about consistency. And one thing boxing is really good at is the life lesson of consistency and and continuing to go on even when things get hard. Because in boxing, you're gonna have days where training gets extremely hard, or you're on your last few miles for your road work, and your like legs can't move no more, and you just gotta keep on going. You gotta make it home, right? So it's like that's a real good life lesson that boxing teaches you. Because if you could push yourself to those limits and keep on going, then you could do it in anything else in life, whether it's school, work, or just daily life.
Well, just so you know, I'm learning from you because I probably would be like trying to call an Uber or something. But nevertheless, I'm trying to do better this year, Adrian. I'm trying to do better. So what is your next fight and how can we all support you?
So my next fight is actually in Bermuda the end of this month on the 29th. That's being put on by Epic Entertainment. That's the support, that's re-shirty fight. If you can show up, I believe there's still some tickets left. And yeah, just keep on supporting me all the way through until 2024 and beyond that. Man, I enter the pro ranks. So yeah.
Got a couple questions from the audience. Terry K, she's asking, can you speak to the balance necessary for a student athlete to manage your educational pursuits with your sports training?
It's all about time management. You have to kind of know yourself, know how long you train, know how much rest you need as well, because rest is very important when you're training. So me, in the mornings, I know that I could get like a cardio workout done in about 45 minutes to an hour. So I have to budget that time, even before this call, I woke up and I was like, okay, I have this amount of time so I can get back, get a shower and do this. And so things such as that, like you just have to know how long your training is going to be, your break times, how long you're studying. I have credit one of my teammates back at the gym, back at home, Yannick. He taught me really important lessons with studying. He says like, allow yourself breaks, You have to study for like 30 minutes, an hour, and then give yourself a 10, 15-minute break and just keep on breaking it up like that. And then you could go to the gym midday, get back to studying or go to classes. And then, it's all about time management. That's the most important thing.
Indeed.
And sometimes it feels like you don't have a lot of free time. A lot of people would say like, oh, like, have you seen this new show? And I'm just like, what new show? Like, I never have time to like watch like Netflix or anything. But it pays off because like, boxing is my entertainment.
Yeah, Flora Duffy, I remember her saying when she was on, she doesn't even have time to attend family gatherings and so on, like how busy her schedule gets and training. Chrisia asking a question. Adrian, are you concerned about injuries, especially head injuries in the long term?
Yeah. So at times, my mother has just expressed her concerns about it. But injuries happen. Head injuries, they're getting a lot better in this sport. Technology is progressing, rules are progressing, where it prevents that. They like back in the day, they ran longer runs. The rules were less strict. People would rabbit punch behind the head, stuff like that. So it's a lot of rules and technology, even in the gloves and padding in the gloves that have evolved to keep boxers more safe. And then regular injuries, boxers get injured all the time. I have about 3 injuries at the moment. But it's you just keep on going through them. You learn to work through them and limit yourself so you don't stress yourself or overtrain. But yeah.
Yeah. All right, Adrian, honestly, we're out of time, but it's been a pleasure having you. And if you don't mind, how old are you?
I'm 19.
Wow.
Really?
I'm 19.
I don't know if you're media trained or it comes natural, but you're seasoned. You are very seasoned.
Yeah. I put you in early 20s, but not
yeah. But I was like, he's in college. He could have been like me. I spent more time than most people in college. But I'm like, this guy sounds very seasoned. Like you've been like, man, you're honestly, it goes to show it's not just about what you do in the ring. It's not just about what you do in the ring. It's actually how you live your entire life. And I think you're doing a good job at this point. And we just want to let you know that we are here to support your journey.
Yeah.
If there's anything that we can do, obviously show up and support you. We will do our best to not only try to do it individually and personally, but encourage our audience. Thank you for doing this. I know it's early. Stay warm up in Canada. I figured you were up in Canada because you got a North Face on for the conversation. I was like, he must be cool. So
yeah,
we appreciate you, brother. And all the best to you. I'm sure your family is proud of you because many Bermudians like ourselves are proud of you. So we'll be following your journey, supporting you. Folks, make sure you we're gonna ask Adrian, send us that video so we can share with you all. It's a fantastic video. What's your Instagram handle so people can get behind you?
My Instagram handle is Adrian_the period champ. So Adrian_the.champ. So yeah.
All right, follow his journey, folks. Adrian, they are inspired by you today. Wishing you the best. We're wishing you the best as well, and we'll be in touch. in the future. All right. Have a
Thank
great
you.
one. You're welcome.
All right. Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Man, I feel like, I mean, honestly, it was a great conversation. Little technical difficulties, but the message isn't lost. And I really hope my hope
No.
for guests like Adrian is, folks, when I say share the conversations, it's really to share with young people. There might be a young person having trouble. Adrian was vulnerable this morning, sharing his story about how he was having trouble behavior wise, and he turned to boxing. We need to support our young people. We need to support their journey. So we're gonna be back. Wrap it up. Don't go anywhere. You guys, Sherry's gonna try to stump me. It just don't happen like that. It don't happen like that.
A lot happens around your home. That is why at One Communications, we have introduced affordable security and video monitoring, because everyone should be able to afford to protect their family. Anytime, from anywhere, One Home Security keeps you connected and puts security in your hands with an easy-to-use smartphone app to control everything. Home security is important to keep you and your family safe. Motion-activated cameras around your home and security monitoring within create a complete security system providing protection both inside and outside your home. Professional monitoring means that there's someone on call with 24/7 protection to notify the authorities and help keep you and your loved ones safe. We are dedicated to whole home protection with indoor and outdoor cameras, smart door locks, motion sensors, and more, so you'll always be connected to what matters most. With professional installation, no upfront hardware fees, and low monthly rates, because keeping your family safe should be affordable for everyone. Total home video monitoring and security, there's no better way to protect your home than with One Home Security.
Welcome back. She's Sherry Vanderpool. I'm Jamel Hartman. Again, if you appreciate that conversation with Adrian Roach, give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Folks, awesome young man. This has been a week of really awesome and great shows. I just want to let you know, before I give out the letter, before Sherry tricks me, before Sherry gives you the good, bad, and ugly, someone has guessed the answer to the trivia already. Someone has guessed the answer. So we have one person who is eligible, and we still have, I'm just going to tell you, 3 more words to go in the phrase. But the second letter of today is going to be D. All right? D as in David. So D. But we have the first eligible person that has guessed it. All right? So,
oh my
and
goodness.
Christia, if you missed the trivia, you have to go back to every episode if you're talking about the giveaway. You have to go back to every episode. It's a different letter given different time every day. That's I know Sherry's idea, to be honest. But hey,
it is. And let me just say, I will not be telling anybody about past letters because Corsia's my first cousin, and I am not telling her.
Folks, if Corsia shows up with the answer, we know Sherry gave her an in. Sherry, we need some good, bad, and the ugly. What you got for us?
I'm feeling better from COVID and my cold, and
Well,
you know,
good.
all
I'm going
of
to say
that good
that's
stuff.
the good. That's the good.
The bad is, of course, the state of Bermuda right now. I just feel like that whole new thing is like sports, is X's and Is or double dutch. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Like, you know, I don't know if I should jump in, jump out, jump in, jump out, but nevertheless. And the ugly is how people don't take accountability for their actions. And that, if the shoe fits, wear it. If you think I'm talking to you, I probably am. But you know, let's just look at everything all together. Take accountability for your actions.
I guess she told you all.
Okay. Now moving along. Let's get into this trivia.
Oh yes, it's
Jamal.
time for the Daily Play, brought to you guys by Heineken 0.0. Great taste, no alcohol. Sherry, I am ready.
Okay. And this has multiple answers, but I'm not going to give you that. You don't give me that. Which draft class did LeBron James, Dwayne
2003.
Wade,
2003. 2003.
All right. Okay. What was the most points Kobe Bryant scored in a single NBA game?
82.
Really? It's wrong, but it was dang near close.
81.
81. Yes. No, this is probably, yes. What year did the first Air Jordan shoe release?
1988.
No. You want to try again?
He was drafted in 84. So it's in the late 80s. I'm going to say the shoe deal happened in, all right, 86.
Dancing all around the number 85.
Okay.
Good
Cool.
job, Jamal. Good job.
Yeah.
You did good. I
Yeah.
thought I'd give you something easy this Friday, but next Friday
Easy.
it'll be television
That's
shows
not
from the
easy.
from the 90s. I'll give you
That's not
television
easy.
shows. I was
Yeah.
like, he didn't
I
watch
don't
this
watch
show.
television. No, I don't watch
He
television
didn't watch.
shows. So Chrisia said 91. So no, it wasn't 91.
Nee.
No, I knew it was the 80s after because his wife, I remember the whole thing about him turning down. Yeah, blah blah. It was a story. Sports. I mean, Nikki thinks I'm pretty good with remembering sports. I don't think that's true. I
You
just remember
did.
I just remember what I like.
The 2003 was good, Jamal. I'm not gonna, that's fine. I laid the groundwork and I know where to come next. So good stuff. Good job.
Any final thoughts on today's show, Sherry?
Let's have a 4-day work week. I'm just gonna leave it at that. We'll figure it out. And Adrian Roach, like amazing, absolutely amazing. I feel his mother when she's talking about ducking because I'm, all of this kind of things. But he is, as you said, Jamal, like agree, very seasoned, and he's gonna do well. So just go out and support him. He is inspiration.
So much is said about young black men. I don't know why Jackie, unlike us who watch Good Day Bermuda, she doesn't watch the Daily Hour. So Jack is calling me right now. I actually put the phone on. If I put my Bluetooth up, she'll be a part of the conversation right now. But yeah, Jackie don't show us no love, so she's actually called now. We're still on air, folks. But that said, I just want to give a huge shout out to everyone again, continuing to send the love for to my family and I regarding my mom. Really appreciate it. I'm on this show as far as the conversation, the daily discussion, a 4-day work week. I'm just not quite sure why it isn't something that's being discussed more. We talk about minimum wage and living wage, but we don't even speak about the wellness part. We have to speak about health and wellness legislation and policies. As far as Adrian Roach, again, we hear about young black man doing so much bad. This young brother is one that we should be celebrating and honoring, not because he's accomplished what he wants to accomplish yet, but because he's putting in the work to accomplish it. So we need to get behind people before they actually reach the heights that they're trying to get to. So thanks again to Adrian. And folks, it's that time again. So thanks again to our partners, Medical House, One Communications, People's Pharmacy, Linders, for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a regular basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you when, Sherry?
On Tuesday, because we got a long weekend.
Next Tuesday, we'll be back live with you, folks. Make it a safe and great weekend. We're out. Peace.